What's going on, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Scott Geirman, senior staff writer, Dodger Blue. I'm here with my good buddy, Blake Williams. This is off-season Blake Williams. Still cooking. He's still hard at work, man. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you too. I'm ready to eat some good food, and I hope you are too.
Yeah. The big topic at hand, man, since we haven't been able to hop on here, chat Blake Snell. Had to make sure I got on here today to kick off this holiday, Thanksgiving, and to really highlight how impactful and how happy I am that the Dodgers were able to land Blake Snell. He signs an incredible amount of time earlier than he did this past year when he signed with the San Francisco Giants, opts out, goes on the free agent market here, and someone that we've been talking about for a few weeks now, kind of the number one starting pitching target for us. And to finally get that notification, Blake Snell puts that out on his own Instagram to announce that deal. 5 years, $182 million. Kind of give me your initial stuff here. I know you spoke about it on the live stream when it was announced. Kind of give me your initial thoughts. How impactful is it for the Dodgers rotation? What does it mean to them? Kind of give me your kind of where you're standing at, man.
Yeah, so as we talked a ton, he was our top starting pitching target, probably besides Juan Soto, the top target for this team overall. And I think with that, you can say the most realistic target for them.
Yeah.
He is probably one of, if not the most unhittable pitcher in baseball. There are some concerns with the walks there, but as Kyle Bland pointed out on Twitter with Pitchers List, a lot of his walk struggles are due to he throws the fewest mistake pitches in baseball. It's just 3% of his pitches are qualified as mistakes. So he's not living over the heart of the zone. He's pitching on the corners, and you're going to get some more walks because of that. It's going to happen. But he offsets that by not giving up hard hit balls, not giving up quality contact, getting a ton of strikeouts. Like, hitters were hitting around 120 off him this year. He is just an unhittable pitcher. And when you put him into the Dodgers rotation, you could make a strong case that he is the best pitcher on this team right now, which is saying a lot because they have Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Tyler Glasnow as well. And it's kind of a situation where it's 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D with these guys. Like, yes, Snell might be their best one, but you could make a case any of them are their best one. And you have 4 legit aces on this team right now.
Yeah, and in Blake Snell's final 14 starts of the 2024 regular season, he put up a 1.23 ERA, had 114 strikeouts, 30 walks, allowing, just like you said, a 123 batting average in that final stretch. That's 80 and a third innings. And his season really I loved how, Juan Toribio of MLB.com kind of put this, that Blake Snell's peak came on August 2nd, when he struck out 11 hitters when he threw a no-hitter against the Cincinnati Reds. And that was also the first complete game of his career. So not only are you getting, I would say this is remarkable strikeout to walk percentage stuff with Blake Snell. He knows how to miss bats. That's the name of the game, right? Like, his postseason performance has been good. Overall, as complete, work has been very good for Blake Snell. We got to see it in 2020 at different stops, with the San Diego Padres, same type of thing. He stymied the Dodgers as well. So, elated. That's kind of where I'm landing on this, Blake. And the question that I posed, we've kind of been chatting about, for a few weeks, is that on one end, the Dodgers were going to attack that front end starting pitching market. That was the Blake Snells, the Corbin Burns, the Max Fried. Who was it going to be? And on the other side, it was going to be like Roki Sasaki, going for a trade, that route, and the Walker Buehlers and the guys on the peripherals, right? And we've all agreed that was it going to be one, the other, or both? And now they've checked that first box. And that leads us into the topic of what we're chatting about here today, is the implications kind of from this Blake Snell signing. And that leads us into this report from Ken Rosenthal here about Walker Buehler. And with Walker Buehler, is he going to re-sign with the Los Angeles Dodgers? Is that going to be something that is kind of on the docket? And initially, Blake, give me your thoughts and how much this deal impacts, kind of that pursuit here.
I still think they're a little separate from each other because I think they wanted to add at least 2 starting pitchers this offseason all along. So I'm not sure Snell fully impacts Walker Buehler's market. What I think is going to be the case with Buehler is as Ken Rosenthal said, that he doesn't expect Buehler to stay with the Dodgers. I think we're going to see a situation where other teams are going to be willing to pay more for Buehler than what the Dodgers are willing to pay him. I think the Dodgers would do like 1 year, maybe 10 to 15 million, kind of like a prove it rebound deal. I
Sure.
think your teams out there that might be willing to offer 2 or 3 years with maybe a little bit of a higher AAV or right around that same mark. And for Buehler, where you're kind of an unknown at this point, like he's coming off of a really bad season and he finished off with a great 10 innings there in the playoffs, but still a bigger question mark than a sure thing at this point. But I think there are other teams that might be more willing to take that risk. Other
Sure.
teams might have a more set plan for him. Like the Dodgers, realistically, they can live without him. Like if Buehler leaves, you can put Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin in your rotation, and they might even get Sasaki and another starting pitcher too. You can kind of live with it there. There might be another team that views him as like their number 3, so they might be willing to go out and pay him a little more to get that deal done. So I think the Dodgers want him back. I think Buehler would like to be back, but baseball is also a business first and foremost, and he is one of the riskier pitchers on the market. The track
Sure.
record for guys with a second Tommy John surgery, it doesn't hold up too well. Most of them end up pitching a year or two and then kind of fizzling out if they even make it that far. They usually have decreased effectiveness. So I just think it's a situation where the Dodgers might say, like, you earned that contract, you should go take it. This is what we're willing to do, but that's a better one for you.
Absolutely. And putting weight into what Ken Rosenthal said, and kind of his belief surrounding Walker Buehler in a reunion with the Dodgers, and to kind of continue that, I've been pretty vocal about wanting to see this second part of Walker Buehler's career with the Dodgers, but also being mindful of the contract that he deserves. And if another team, I'm always pro player. I'm always, if there's money out there to be had for a player, go get it. Right. I think you're with me on that, Blake. Like, I do not like, it's always great to hear a player taking a hometown discount or some place to go. If they want to go win, go do that. If that's your prerogative. It's every player's right to take, be where they'd like to be. If the contract offers out there, if some team's willing to offer you this money. And that's why when we initially spoke and we saw some contract projections for Walker Buehler, the one that really stood out that didn't make sense at the time, and then you start to look at, guys and the, projections and how much you can, gauge what Walker Buehler, who he can become, and if a team's willing to take that risk. And Blake, are you more inclined to say some teams are willing to take a risk out there to get ahead and to, to pay that? Because before you respond, like ESPN, Kylie McDaniel for ESPN predicted that Walker Buehler could possibly get a 3-year contract in the range of, 50 to $54 million. And for what we've seen arms like Lucas Giolito have, I know he hasn't had as extensive, the arm history that, Walker Buehler's had with the 2 Tommy Johns, but it doesn't seem so crazy with how starting pitching is getting paid here. And perhaps a team might capitalize on that 10 innings. I'm with you now. It might not be the Los Angeles Dodgers to pony up an $18 million AAV. If they want to go out and give him 1 year, 20 million, but then why not just do the qualifying offer, right? If you're willing to do that, if you want to, but that's the Dodgers saying, go out, see what the market has it. So for you, Blake, I don't think that you're, in the stance that the Dodgers would hand out that kind of that Sonny Gray type of deal for Walker Buehler. It would be more of like it's like you said, a prove me contract.
Yeah, I think we have to consider here the Dodgers, if they bring him back, he's their 6th starter, maybe even their 7th or 8th best starter who would kind of be pushed up just because the veteran presence and other guys having options and stuff like that. Another team, they might be looking at Buehler as their number 3, maybe even their number 2 if he turns out and pitches well again. So there's a huge offset there of like what the Dodgers would be willing to pay for a number 6 starter and what
Yeah.
another team would be willing to pay for their 2 or 3 starter. And I think there is going to be a team that's going to say, we'll give you the 2nd or 3rd year. We want you to come play for us. You have the postseason pedigree. You have the name value, if anything. Like fans are going to be excited about signing Walker Buehler, even if
Yeah.
he's not the best player that he once was anymore type pitcher. So I think there's value for other teams, both from like the financial standpoint, the team standpoint, and the fan standpoint that might kind of overshadow what the Dodgers are willing to do for. I think they'd be looking more at like the James Paxton type 1 year. I think he got 10 million or something. Noah Syndergaard 1 year was it 13 million, something around there. Like Tyler Anderson got 1 year, right around 10 million. So if Buehler is willing to come back on that kind of deal, I think he'd absolutely be a Dodger and they would do that. But I think Buehler's going to get better offers from other teams and it's going to lead to him moving on.
And that's why, it's concerning. Again, I'll put it out as many times as I need it. I would love Walker Buehler's career to continue with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That 10 innings that he had to cap off, the World Series title, getting the save, earning the save, hoisting the title. I'll never forget it. But again, I'll reiterate, I'm going to have to be mindful in understanding that a team will overpay. Absolutely. They will overpay to make this type of thing happen. And with the durability, you still have to find out if you can do it. And are you willing to bank on that? Are you willing to bank on Walker Buehler's durability in a rotation where you don't have a lot of arms with, the wiggle room to say they're a workhorse, right? Like Blake Snell, I'm glad they brought that in because he hasn't had arm trouble since the 2019 season. Like this is stuff we've looked up in, and he was the guy that he's dealt with some adductor things in recent years, but Yamamoto's had his, stuff with his shoulder. Tyler Glass now is still TBD, and how much are they going to put on his shoulders? Shohei Ohtani's returning from another second significant elbow procedure. Tony Gonsolin's returning. Dustin May, same type of thing. So to put that type of money in I would say 2-3 year contract into Walker Buehler, it would still intrigue me. But as far as for another team that I could see handing out some more money to bringing him in, just like you said, for all the intangibles that you can't really go out and find with a lot of different guys, it's starting to look just like Ken Rosenthal said, a little bit more bleak by the day. So until that report comes out, that's kind of where I'm standing on. I'm not saying it's over, but I'm saying that the Dodgers are positioning themselves to pivot away and go for another one of those, just like you said, those 1-year signings. And I'm going to toss a name out there, Matt Boyd. That's someone I want to see. Just one of those dudes who I think will get a multi-year contract, but if they're able to sign him for a 1 year, different type of thing. So again, Dodgers fans, keep a lookout, Walker Buehler. It's kind of trending in the direction that he won't be back with the Los Angeles Dodgers, barring anything else. But I would love to see his, stuff continue. Another thing that Ken Rosenthal brought up is with Teoscar Hernandez in the reunion that we definitely could see with the Dodgers and the likelihood of him returning. And I'll bring up the quote here. Ken Rosenthal quotes, he says, "And while the Dodgers remain in the mix for free agent outfielder Juan Soto, if only to jack up the price for other bidders, sorry, Blake, signing him was a long shot from the start, but the return of Teoscar Hernandez looms as a more realistic possibility." Kind of speak to that quote, Blake, and kind of lay it out for me. How do you see this timeline playing out?
Yeah, I don't think Teoscar is signing until after Soto makes his decision, because once that happens, you're going to mix in other teams into his market. It's going to drive up his price. He doesn't really benefit from signing this early and before Soto. From the Dodgers standpoint, it doesn't make sense to sign him before Soto signs, because if for some reason Soto's market ends up dropping a bit or doesn't develop like he hoped, and they're willing to sign him for maybe a 3-year deal with an opt-out after the first year to a massive AAV, or maybe even like a 10-year deal with a lot of money deferred that Soto ends up for some reason wanting to take, like the Dodgers are going to be opportunistic and jump in on that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely interested in playing into Soto's market. The other outcome is if they don't sign him, like Ken Rosenthal said, it drives up the price for other bidders. That's a good thing, because they're kind of bidding against other teams they're going to be playing against there, with maybe the Yankees in the World Series again. They'll probably see the Mets in the championship series again at some point in the next 10 years. Like, it makes sense to try and drive that price up. And if the opportunity comes up where you can jump in and get him, it's a deal you have to absolutely do. Like, he's a Hall of Fame player. He's a free agent at 26 years old. Players like that don't come around often. So if you can get that done, you go do it. But I think both of us have expected from the start, and probably most people, that Teoscar is still the most likely outcome to happen. I would probably say it's like an 80% chance that he's back, if not higher. I'm really confident about that. Teoscar wants to be a Dodger. They have a need for him.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes so much sense to get it done. And I think it's more just a matter of when it ends up happening than if it happens at this point. So I think there's like just a lot of good reasons why it makes sense for Teoscar to come back for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Love everything you said there. It's the view that we've had. I talked about for a bit, and I know you covered it. You were there. You heard all these things, face to face, that we kind of found it not remarkable, but we found it, it was cool. Let's call it that. That a player joins the Dodgers on a 1-year deal because wants to put himself in the best position. It takes a 1 year, turns more money elsewhere. And Teoscar Hernandez signs, I think, a 1 year, 23.5 million to join the Dodgers. Has a career year, all the accolades you can imagine. First home run derby champion for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Goes on, wins a World Series with them, Silver Slugger. So with what he's got, projections right now have him, I would say it's a pretty easy one. You can kind of broad stroke it. 3 years, right around 70 million, 70 and change, right? And I think that's fair. I think that's right where he deserves. And with as many teams now that will jump in on the bidding for him, I think you might have to add that 4th year. And I don't think the Dodgers would hate doing that. They might, groan at having to do that. And maybe they push it up to a little higher AAV. But that's the price you pay. That's how it goes. That's paying for premium talent. And there's not really a second option out there that I feel incredibly comfortable with. And we're not talking Juan Soto. We're not going that route saying, oh, you could just go ahead and do that. But it's like, if it's not that route, it's Teoscar Hernandez, the continuity he already has, likability, marketability, the friendships we make along the way, and how much impact he's had in the Dodgers organization, Blake. So I would say that knowing that you have about an 80%, feeling that Teoscar Hernandez returns to the Dodgers, it's just a matter of time. And when that lines up and he's going to approach the Dodgers with probably the contract, I got to ask you this. Do you think Teoscar Hernandez is going to go around Major League Baseball, field the offers from other teams, and then come back to the Dodgers and say, this is what I've got?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Dodgers will kind of let him do that. They'll say, like, go find your market value, and then we'll see if we can get close to that. And they probably will end up getting close. I think Teoscar would be willing to take a little bit of a discount, even if the Dodgers aren't fully matched, or like the Dodgers love doing now, deferring all the money down the line. So maybe he signs for like 75 million and they defer 30 million of it, and he gets a 20 million signing bonus or something like that. You help get him some value now with the signing bonus. He gets to stay where he wants to be. He's still getting fair market value, and it helps the Dodgers out a little bit. So then you're like, if you get that kind of contract, then you say, okay, we can do the 4th year because you're bringing down your AAV. You're helping us out with the cash flow. We can take the 1-year hit, even if we don't feel totally comfortable going 4 years. And I think it's just something where both sides are going to figure out whatever it takes to work it out.
100%. And I believe there'll be escalators in the contract. Same, the usual stuff you'll see at Silver Slugger, all MLB finish and stuff like that, MVP, top 5, whichever, in there. So there will be opportunities, I believe, for Teoscar to kind of bump up, his total earnings year to year here, to boost the overall stuff. And what better place than Los Angeles Dodgers? They are a destination spot now. That's great to hear, right?
Yeah. Dodgers deserve it after all the years McCourt and everything that went on there, like passing on players because McCourt didn't want to pay them. Like, they had deals for Cliff Lee and I think Prince Fielder, and McCourt just didn't want to pay them. And now it's like every fan base is saying the Dodgers are ruining baseball by signing good players. Like, Dodger fans deserve this.
They deserve it, flat out. And then the last piece of news that kind of not broke. I mean, we use breaking news too much. I love that. And that MLB Network's John Heyman put out that he said Wednesday, he had a Bleacher Report chat that the Dodgers are still in on Garrett Crochet alongside the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. Does that surprise you?
A little, but not fully. I think it's surprising because I didn't think they'd be looking for like giving up the resources for another top end pitcher, but also he's cost controlled.
Yes.
It's not going to be a huge contract because he's still under the team control. Like, you can have arguably the greatest rotation that's ever been assembled if you throw him in there as your number 5. If they say like, hey, we're going to give you Gavin Lux and these prospects and the White Sox are for it, like, that's a deal that makes a lot of sense for the Dodgers to make, especially since we were just talking about they probably want to add at least 2 starting pitchers this offseason.
Yes.
He's probably a lot safer than Buehler with more upside. So if you're kind of deciding between them, it's less risk. You have to give up the prospects, but you get far greater upside, greater talent, and you add him into your rotation, another lefty. He can move to the bullpen if you need him to. Like, there's just a ton of upside in trying to get that deal done if you can.
Are you weary at all of giving away prospects, or that's a deal like if it makes sense, it gets all done? Is that something where with the current setup, Blake Snell, uh, with the current rotation where it's at? No, I'm not going to say overkill, but do you think that's a deal that they have to make? Or do you think it would just be something where if the opportunity lines up, you do it? But do you think that the prospects given up, do you think those would be better served attacking needs perhaps at the deadline? But also that's when prices are astronomical. So it might be better to do a deal now, right?
I think it's more about them just being opportunistic, like they always
Mm.
try and do. That's Friedman's favorite word to use, and he's pushed that onto Brandon Gomes. They always talk about being opportunistic.
They're
If it
correct.
if it lines up and you can make that deal and get another like top starter in your rotation, you go do that. If it doesn't work out, you didn't lose anything by talking, figuring out what the White Sox would want.
Yeah.
Maybe well in their discussions, you figure out a trade that works for Luis Robert and they make something there. So it makes sense to have these conversations, especially if they're looking for another starter. We don't know for sure that they're going to get Roki Sasaki, even though they're the favorite. So you kind of cast a wide net and explore all your options, and whatever lines up that works out the best for you, that's what you're going to end up doing. But if you could add Garrett Crochet to this team, they've been prioritizing like stuff out of their pitchers. He is another pure stuff guy, and Otani, Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, and
Yeah.
Crochet, I don't think there would be a filthier rotation in history. And I think the Dodgers are very locked in right now on we're
Mm.
trying to build a dynasty. We want to win 5 World Series in the next 10 years type thing. Like, they're not just sitting back and saying we got our World Series, we've won 2 in the last 5 years. They want to keep winning. And if you can go get Crochet and give up some prospects, like, you go do that. And I'd also say, like, to the deadline stuff, they don't really have any other major needs at this point that you need to go attack at the deadline, especially if we say they're saving a spot for Andy Pajes. They're probably bringing Teoscar back. We don't fully know about shortstop and center field, but you can live with Miguel Rojas, Mookie Betts, Gavin Lux, Tommy Edman kind of mix out there. Like, where are you realistically going to go upgrade? It's tough to do. So if you can do that now, it makes a lot of sense.
Sure. I totally agree with you. It's about finding the playing time for some of these guys that are perhaps on the cuff. There's going to be some, diamonds in the rough there. Going to be some guys lower on the totem pole that get tossed into a trade like this that fans might not know who they are. But people who pay attention to prospects understand that there will be value given up. But to what you said about Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, the rest of the front office, it's all about the opportunity. It's all about being opportunistic. If it lines up, it does. If it doesn't make sense to do it, don't overpay. And sometimes you have to do it, but look at the best year. Look at the Mookie Betts trade. Opportunistic. Team was looking to offload him. You're able to capitalize on a deal. And it's happened time and time again with the Dodgers front office. They just know how to work these things. So will I be surprised? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will not be surprised if the Dodgers go out and make a trade for Garrett Crochet. It's just like you said, a cost controlled arm, someone with the filthy stuff. Again, the injury history is there. Tommy John, he had some shoulder inflammation. So there's stuff to, be weary of, but it's about the stuff. It's about what does that peak look like? Follow the trend, fans, Dodgers fans watching this, tuning in. Look at the players that they accumulate. When these players are performing at their peak, they are perhaps some of the best in Major League Baseball. And that's what it's about. When you're on the field, are you performing just at mid range level, league average level? No. They're accumulating talent that when they are on the field and healthy, they are among the best in Major League Baseball. And that's what it's all about. And it's all just playing the game and rolling the dice that are they going to be healthy, hoping that they're all healthy at the most opportune time. And that's when you get peak performance. And that's something we all should admire definitely about this front office. So just a couple things to keep note on. Keep tabs on Teoscar Hernandez, keep tabs on Walker Buehler, and keep an eye out for Garrett Crochet with John Haven kind of putting that the Dodgers are still kind of in that mix, checking it out, gauging it. So we'll definitely see. Blake, any final thoughts on this stuff here? Kind of the current rotation, 6-man rotation possibilities here. Um, any strong feelings about the Dodgers kind of not jumping the gun, but being the first team to, aside from Juan Soto, going out and making the first big splash of the offseason.
I think it shows they want to keep winning and they're not just going to settle for their one. I think that's great. And like I said earlier, Dodger fans deserve this. We had a lot of dark years with the front office not trying to win and the ownership just being a disaster. But
yeah,
the Guggenheim Group has really invested into this team. They know what they're doing. They're making other fans very mad, which makes me happy because, love seeing all that interaction on Twitter about how the Dodgers are ruining baseball. A lot of fun. So keep ruining baseball, keep getting more talent. Maybe let's end up with a Teoscar, a Crochet, a Willie Adames, go crazy, get them all in, win another few rings. It's a lot of fun. It's a great time to be a Dodger fan.
Doing what the Yankees did in the late 90s, early 2000s. You see players that go out there, all you have to do is just go out and give them money. Bring them in, make it happen, play at peak performance, and you go out and win championships. And then you become the model. Dodgers are already the model, but now they're flexing their financial security, how they're projecting things. They built a cash cow and they're building, they've already built it. It's a destination spot for players. You want to win, you want to get paid, can do it all in Los Angeles. I love it. Again, that's going to wrap it for us. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. That's Blake Williams. Incredible mind, great baseball mind, hardest worker I know. I'm Scott Geirman. Everybody, you enjoy your holiday. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. We appreciate you. Do us a favor, hit that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. A lot of fun stuff coming up on DodgerHeads, Dodger Blue. We'll keep you tuned here. Any breaking news, we are, one that when it happens, we've got a plethora, of writers, contributors on our staff that we're going to go live, talk it out. We'll keep you posted. Again, everybody, we appreciate you. We'll talk soon. As always, go Dodgers.